Have you ever heard the word prophet? The word prophet was very common in the Old Testament, but we don't use that word very much today. But simply a prophet was someone who traveled around telling others about God. And in certain places, a prophet was not welcome. People didn't want to hear about God, or they sure didn't want to be told that they were making bad choices or disobeying God. So today's story is about a certain prophet who had been sent by God, but he let fear get in the way of obeying God and doing what God had told him to do. So we're going to read our story out of the Jesus Calling Bible Storybook. And the story today is about a certain prophet named Jonah, and it's out of the book of Jonah. And it said, God said to Jonah, I want you to go to Nineveh, that was a particular city, and I want you to tell its people to shape up and follow me. Nineveh was a really sinful town, and Jonah thought he and his people were better than the bullies of Nineveh. Jonah did not want to help these people, so instead of obeying God, he bought a ticket on a ship and he sailed the other direction. No one can run away from God because God sees everything, and God saw Jonah. God sent a fierce storm out to the sea. Waves pounded the ship and rocked it back and forth. Help us, the sailors begged their false gods, but nothing happened. Then one of them remembered Jonah. Hey, you, call on your God. It's my fault, Jonah admitted. God is angry. Throw me overboard and the sea will calm down. The sailors were afraid to harm him, but the storm got so bad that they threw Jonah overboard. Then the storm went away. Lord, help me, Jonah prayed as he sank down to the ocean's bottom. As soon as he said it, along came a big, hungry fish, and he swallowed Jonah up. Jonah slid past its teeth and into its tummy. There, Jonah told God he was sorry, and he praised God for saving his life. Some people turn from you and worship false gods, he said, but not me. I promise to sing praises to you because I know that you are the only one who can save me. But Jonah still did not want to see God help the people in Nineveh. Jonah was trapped inside the fish. After 3 days, the fish's tummy began to turn somersaults, tossing Jonah around and around. With a big heave-ho, the fish threw up and spit Jonah out on the beach, safe and sound. God sent a fish to save Jonah from the sea, and Jonah was in the tummy of that fish for 3 days and 3 nights. Jonah knew that running away from what God wanted him to do was wrong. After the big fish spat him out, he decided to go and tell the people of Nineveh that their city would be destroyed in 40 days if they didn't turn to God. The people listened to Jonah and believed. They repented, feeling sad about all the bad things that they had done and telling God they were sorry, so God did not punish them. Jonah was angry that God would forgive the people of Nineveh. He thought that they should be punished. So God had to teach Jonah to love all people, even if they had done some bad things. So this is shows us perfectly how the job of the prophet worked. He was to go and tell the people about God and help them see their bad ways and their bad choices, and then they could truly believe in God. But Jonah didn't want to obey God, so he ran away from God, thinking that God wouldn't see him. But we know that that's not true because God sees everything and everybody, and we cannot ever run from God. And it doesn't matter what happens in our lives, we have to remember that God's way is the best way. And so let's go over our memory verse again today. And it says, call to me and I will answer you, and I will tell you great and mighty things which you do not know. Jeremiah 33:3. And our coloring page today is of Jonah. and you can see that the ocean the waves are going back and forth, and here's the big fish. And a lot of people think it was a whale because that's the biggest fish we know that could have swallowed Jonah up, and it would have had a big enough tummy to hold him. And then your story's on the back. And then we're going to send you something that you can do at home, and it'll look like this. And it says, lift the flap to see what's going on inside the whale. And I did mine on blue paper so that it looks like it's in the ocean. And then you cut along the dotted lines and lift the flap. And in there you can draw your Jonah, and you can probably draw some other little fish maybe that the whale has swallowed up, or some seaweed. And so that's your craft for today. And then we're also going to send you a couple of summer worksheets. This is one of my favorite things to do. I used to love to do this in the Highlight magazine. And it says, what's wrong with this picture? And there's 7 things that are definitely out of place. And so you're going to have to look real close because some of them are kind of hidden, but there's 7 things that are wrong with the picture that you can circle and find that don't belong. And then this one is a difference worksheet, and then what you'll do is circle the item that looks different than the others. So 3 things look alike and 1 thing looks out of place. And the book I wanted to share with your mom and dad today is called The Plans I Have for You, and it's written by Amy Parker, and it's based on the scripture in Jeremiah 29:11. And it says, I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord, plans to prosper you and not to harm you, plans to give you hope and a future. And it basically reminds us that we all have a purpose, and sometimes that's hard for us to see our purpose, but we have to remember that God has a plan and a purpose for every one of us. And I love the last page of the book, and it says, the whole world will be better thanks to little old you. All because you did what I created you to do. And so that's what we need to remember. So that's a great little book. And I'm also including 3 new worship songs, and one of them is one of our favorites that we like to, when we watch the VeggieTales movie, Jonah. And it's the Message from the Lord song, and we love that VeggieTales does. And then there's another song about Jonah, and then one by Yancey called Obey, and it's just reminding us again that it's always better when we obey. So we'll talk to you again next week, and we will have our final story out of this unit about the Old Testament stories that we're working on, and you'll see it all come together at next week's story. So hope you've enjoyed today, and we'll see you back here again next week. Bye-bye.